Today in the Texas Tribune Weekend Insider, a battle over coal is heating up in South Texas. Julian Aguilar explains how residents of Eagle Pass are fighting to keep their land from coal mining developers. Susannah Jacob takes us to the Rio Grande Valley, where an incurable disease is threatening the region's citrus industry.
There is a coal company that's originated in Mexico called Dos Republicas, and they want to blast about 10 square acres in Eagle Pass and mine for coal. And the citizens of Eagle Pass, the residents of Eagle Pass, are obviously upset because this isn't sort of on 30, 40 miles away from the town. I mean, this is literally across the fence line from some folks that have lived on this property for 30, 40, 50 years. So their concern, it's twofold. It's the environmental concerns on blasting and mining this coal, and they're looking at hundreds of rail cars loaded going through Eagle Pass into Coahuila, which is the Mexican state that borders Texas there in that part of Texas. And their concerns are a handful about the discharge going into this creek that eventually ends up in the Rio Grande, which is the main water source for both Piedras Negras, the border city, and Eagle Pass. They're concerned about the dust, the particles from the coal, and they're just kind of questioning. There's a lot of underlying themes. They're questioning why this coal company has been at this for 20 years, and they want to get their hands on this really low-quality coal that you can't even burn in the U.S. because it's so low-grade. The citizens say it's really a David versus Goliath sort of match. I mean, they get together in a community center. And even for the trip up to Austin last week for the Railroad Commission hearing, they were talking about who can pitch in for gas. And meanwhile, they say, this coal company has millions of dollars to spend for lawyers and permits and whatnot. But the coal company says there's already coal moving through Eagle Pass. This is going to create a lot of jobs in Eagle Pass. And so it's really it can turn into a political grudge match, because if somebody speaks out against this operation, the coal company can say, well, then you're speaking out against jobs. But like I said, the coal company says we have everything in line. We have the insurance, we have the TCEQ permit to discharge. All we need is this permit. And they say they're doing everything by the letter, by the book, so it's really, depends on how you look at it. Is this going to be a job creator, or is this going to kill a small little town with environmental disastrous effects?
The Valley citrus crop is the third largest citrus producing region in the country. And why it's so significant is that all of the fruit that's produced in the valley, all of the sweet red flesh grapefruits and the Valencia oranges, go to market. So they're sold in whole form, in fresh form. So when you eat citrus in the grocery store, it's oftentimes from Texas. So as opposed to places like Florida and California, where a lot of the fruit is turned into juice. Citrus greening disease is transmitted by the psyllid bug, and it's a bacterial disease, and it works actually in the same way that mosquitoes transmit malaria. You need the bug to have bitten a tree that has the disease, and then the bug goes to another tree and it transmits the disease. And the bacteria replicates inside the grapefruit tree or the orange trees or any citrus tree's vascular system. The effect of that is that the food produced through the process of photosynthesis on the surface of the tree's leaves can't make it to the rest of the tree to feed the tree, because the vascular system is so clogged with the bacteria of this disease. And the tree slowly starves. Texas is in a good position because they were ready and they were expecting this disease. They were looking for it actively. And the way that they're addressing it is by spraying for the psyllid, which transmits the disease, and removing all of the trees that have the disease that they find. They physically remove them from the ground. But the biggest thing that can really affect whether the disease becomes an unmanageable problem or not is whether people are actively spraying for psyllids. And that includes people that have dooryard trees in their backyard, and grove owners that have acres and acres and acres of grapefruits and oranges. The way that the growers in the valley describe it is that they're cautiously optimistic. They're not, they know this isn't going away. That's the most important thing. But it's manageable. It's just one of the other challenges and expenses that comes along with, growing citrus trees and citrus fruit commercially.